The study would be, I put you on the drug, you're not on the drug. If you're not on the drug, 2 people get a heart attack out of 1 billion people. I put you on the drug, 1 person gets a heart attack out of 1 billion people. So what's the difference? It's 2 minus 1 divided by 1 billion, right? Because you got to look at the sample size. And what the drug companies say is that difference is the same as 1 out of 10 compared to 2 out of 10. In both cases, it's 2 minus 1. And they get rid of the sample size. They don't care it was out of 10 people or it was out of 1 billion people. You can't do that. But the drug companies get to do it. Why? Because the drugs typically never work. And if they couldn't play that game, then every drug would show it fails, including the big aspirin. The NNT of a statin by the drug companies themselves is 100. That means give it to 100 people, I get 1 success. A 1% success rate, which translates to a 99% failure rate. Now, if you went to the store and you bought a television and the person selling it to you, the salesman said, there's a 99% chance, sir, this TV is going to blow up in your face. And you're not getting your money back. Would you ever buy the thing? No, none of you. It's not a good bet. 1% chance, and that's a statin. It fails 99% of the time. This is by the drug company's own measure. This is not the people that don't like it. By the other people, the NNT is 300. That means I treat 300 people, I get 1 success. It's 3 times worse than what the drug companies say. You're getting conned. Statins do not decrease the risk of heart disease at all. A 1% chance is what I call statistically insignificant, because to have any kind of a clinical difference, it has to be at least 20%. With me, it has to be 80%. If I tell you something's going to work, that means if I give it to 100 people, it better work on 80. Again, the statin, the drug company, works on 1. Now they're saying, and it just came out, oh, it's not the lowering cholesterol. The NNT of lowered cholesterol with a statin is 1, because everybody I give it to, it lowers the cholesterol. It's like the NNT of insulin is 1. Everybody that takes a shot of insulin, the blood sugar lowers. The NNT of an antibiotic is very close to 1 too. Everybody that gets an antibiotic is going to kill most of it, except the new vancomycin-resistant stuff. But for most things, it's going to work. But the drug companies are out of that game. That was the easy ones, where you have the NNTs of 1. They don't have those anymore. Now they need incredible advertising, and rotten science doesn't matter, because all the physicians defend the 1%. Here's the situation, I'm very empathetic to it. They have 1 trick. I want to prevent a heart attack, doctor. What do? Take the statin. Yeah, but it fails 99% of the time. Yeah, but it works 1%. What if I don't have that? I've got nothing. That's the position these poor guys are in. But they should at least tell you. And the reason they don't is because the drug companies don't tell them the NNT is 100. And you wouldn't believe the number of physicians that try and defend this failure. Give you another example. You make $100 a day. You get a 1% raise. Now you get $101 a day. Would you consider that a nice cost of living improvement? Well, that's the effectiveness that you got with a statin. Nothing. Now they're saying, oh, it's because it actually has an anti-inflammation effect. Remember I told you inflammation gives you heart disease and cancer? They're making that up too. It's a very, very minor anti-inflammatory effect. The ones from the parent omega-6, like I was talking about earlier, have a much stronger anti-inflammatory effect. So the bottom line is, you have a drug that does $15 billion a year that doesn't work. And you ask the cardiologist, are your patient waiting rooms any less? And they'll look at me and go, no. My comment is, well, if this stuff worked, why do you have many patients? Well, heart disease is now the number 2 killer and cancer is number 1, so we're making a dent. My comment is, no. You're just better plumbers. You have a complete clogged artery, you can micro-plumb it, and that's plumbing, that's not even medicine. And then if you get the equipment out of it, that's electrical engineering and physics. There's no medicine here. You know, that's not, and you actually have more heart patients, not less. But they delude themselves, because most doctors really try. But when they really sit back and think what they have, they want to throw up. That's why most oncologists, by the way, are very depressed. They end up quitting because they know they're complete, utter failures. And when they keep seeing their patients dying and dying and dying, they're very depressed. They're the most depressed doctors around. Awful state of affairs. So with statins, the answer is not the statin. It is the unadulterated parent omega-6. And I've written a peer-reviewed medical journal article that actually got published by the Journal of American Physicians and Surgeons. And it started out as a 400-word letter to the editor response. They came back bitching all over the place, so I had a 10-page response to everything they complained about. And after about a month of jerking around, this is MD PhD levels, biochemist. Not a PhD in biochemistry. I do use biochemists with PhDs as resources. So between an MD, the biochemist, and myself, we squashed every possible thing. And at the end of the month, it came back, this paper is so important, it has to be published. To my knowledge, it is the only one in the world about why statins don't work in a peer-reviewed journal. You can have other health things they've been published, but I know of no peer-reviewed journal that had the guts to say this. And I looked at it from a physiological basis. So you can look at my website. It's brianpeskin.com, B-R-I-A-N, and P as in park, E-S-K-I-N. It's all one word, just .com. There's papers there, there's articles there, all for free. You can see what I've written. You'll understand almost all of it, and it's just really required reading, because if you go through that, you'll know more than 99.9% of all the physicians out there. They're too busy treating symptoms, and believe me, at the end of their day, they don't want to learn anything more. It's just I've had it. So the physicians that come to me, and there's piles of them because their protocols aren't working. So I solve a problem for them. They're trying to do the fish oil. I get piles of doctors going, this doesn't work. I read your article, I need to try this stuff. And then it's just boom, 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 boom. Man, I can't believe how this works. Because all I care about is real life results. But the science backs up the real life results. Okay, so that's the thing about statins. That's a big one. They are horrific drugs. They waste your muscle. They put you in a brain fog. For the guys, impotency is a huge problem with the darn things. And they're just bad news. It's a very bad way to go. And the cholesterol number means nothing. Means absolutely nothing. Nor does the high density, the HDL. Don't for a second think I have a high number there, I'm okay. It means nothing. It's a system. LDL brings it in, HDL has something to do with bringing it out. And the way I can say this is it was published in Metabolism. They ripped out all the HDL, gave it 0. They did it in a mouse, of course. They figured a mouse would die. Nothing, no problem at all. Kept living and living and living. It was like, we're wrong. The HDL means nothing. It's tragic. The drug companies mislead the doctors because the poor doctor's misled. He's misleading you. It's not intentional, but it's going to happen. So if you don't get this information from me, you're not going to get it. To my knowledge, I'm the only one really pounding it.
This morning you said statins hurt the brain.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Well, the brain makes its own cholesterol. It doesn't come in. It has to be made. The statins ruin anything to do with cholesterol mechanism. And there's a doctor, an astronaut doctor, spacedoc.net. He read my paper in Physicians and Surgeons, and he contacted me, and he had to stop flying because of the brain fog. And now he's got a disability because of the statin. And this is a very common thing with brain fog. You just can't think, you have no memory, amnesia episodes, it's awful stuff. So he's written several books on it. But it's spacedoc.net if you want to see his stuff. Statins are awful.
You know, I've got two boys at home, 14 and 13.
Yep.
In the morning, they have bagel waffles and a glass of milk.
Yep.
And
High carbs.
And then they come home, they have some cereal and a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's all carbs. So running around, they can burn it up, but you're putting them on a path to diabetes. If they keep eating like that, you're putting them on the diabetes time-bound path, and more kids are getting diabetes now. But and just cut it in half.
Well, but bacon and eggs, and when they get home, they have the steak left over from dinner?
That's fine. Bacon and eggs with half of the waffle is fine. I'm not zero carbs. That was Atkins. You don't need to be zero carbs, and to expect that is crazy. It's never going to happen. but it has to be last on the list. So the carbs, one piece of bread, I put a ton of meat on. I mean, I'll go to Blimpie or Subway or something. I get triple the meat and cheese. I get a 6-inch bun, and I tell them to scoop it out, because I just want the edges to hold the stuff. And I am as low carb as you can possibly get. On the pizzas, I get extra cheese, extra sauce, lots of toppings, and I'll eat just the crust around the edge. I throw the whole middle away, and I tear off the topping. That's what I did at lunch today. I ate the whole pizza by myself, but not one. I didn't eat any of the crust. You're full, you get the taste. There's never any bloating. You can always tell when you have too many carbs, you're exhausted. If you're after eating like this, you can eat a whole steak and run a marathon in 10 minutes. And you go, I can't believe that. Well, do a test. Eat a 1-pound steak or a half-a-pound steak if you're a small woman, I don't care. 10 or 11 at night, right before going to bed, eat it, and you can do it, and you will be full when you wake up. You will not get up in the middle of the night. Do that with a couple of bagels. I guarantee you will be up at 3 a.m., your heart pounding like hell, and needing a quart of water. Because every ounce of carbohydrate, you need 3 ounces of water. That's the way that carbs are processed. So you're like a sponge, bloated all day long. So if you're on a high-carb diet, especially with the women, you're running around bloated all day long.
I have a kind of a two-pronged question. Is it true that a virus cannot live in a highly oxygenated environment? And what does food-grade peroxide do for the human body?
Okay, but the first one was too much oxygen?
Is it true that a virus cannot live in a highly oxygenated environment?
Oh. Yeah, the question is, do viruses die in high oxygen? I'm not quite sure. That's a good question. My gut feeling could be, yeah. I think high oxygen level kills almost everything. But I'm not sure. It's a good point. And hydrogen peroxide is very good for killing everything. It doesn't do much to drink it because it gets converted into water almost immediately. But injected into the blood, I know some doctors do that, and it's very effective at killing everything. Yeah, it's interesting with the virus and the high oxygen. I'll check on that. I'm not sure. Good question.
I think you mentioned on the radio this morning about the prostate and the breast being fat.
Yeah. You know, what I said was, where are the two places for cancer I would expect? Tissues that are the most fat. Well, what are they? Breast tissue, it's the #1 worldwide cancer for women, and prostate. 70% of guys get prostate cancer, by the way. Take 1 row of 10 guys, 70, you're going to get the damn thing if you don't know this stuff. It's all fat. So I would expect a problem to be in the tissue that has the most fat. Why? Because there's the highest probability you're going to have screwed up fat there. And it is. So it's very predictive. The what? Yeah, how good is aspartame, the artificial sweetener? Awful. Awful, awful. Do not have more than 1 diet soda a day. It is a neurotoxin. It can give brain tumors. This has been published by Blaylock, a neurosurgeon. It is awful. It should have been banned. And it's just a disgusting thing what it is. Do not touch it.
You're saying a lot of protein is good, but...
You can't have too much protein is the answer. You can eat as much as you want. You can't have too much. There's no such thing. Now notice...
How about constipation?
It's not going to happen. I think, here's the deal. Most people, especially the women, are on high-carb diets, especially if you're taking fiber. You are giving a pharmacological response to something like a drug to make yourself go to the bathroom. You stop eating all that fiber, the response is gone. Your body doesn't know how to work without it. So it's going to take it some time.
So are you saying don't eat fruits and vegetables?
No, I'm saying in the beginning, when you cut back on this, I eat very little of them. You can eat them, but don't make them the be-all, end-all. 1 apple a day or something. But with the fiber, cut it back slowly. Typically, cut things in half and stay there for about 2 weeks. Like to reduce the carbs, you don't go to 0 like Atkins told you. That was beyond stupid. You cut them in half. You got a system that you're feeding 100% carbs, and now I go to 0. Your body's going, what on God's earth are you doing to me? And it doesn't know how to respond. You don't do that. You cut them in half for a couple weeks, and then you can cut them in half again for a couple weeks. Same thing with fiber, same thing for getting rid of fruit, same thing for anything. Your body adapts to it. Even though it's no good, it's become normal for you. So any change becomes abnormal. But the constipation problem is always in the women. It's never in the guys, because the guys eat the steak to begin with.
The Canadian
have any benefit on diabetes?
Yeah, question, does vanadium help for diabetes? I've been told by the diabetic physicians it does. Are you type 1 or type 2? If you're type 2, just getting rid of, minimizing those carbs and putting these oils in, within a month, you will not be type 2 anymore. It's that simple.
And what is the average, or what is the good sugar,
Blood sugar is supposed to be fasting is 70 to 90 milligrams per deciliter. It's not below 120. They're making this number up. The reason they're making the number so high is if they gave you the real numbers, everybody's diabetic would be 50%. It's supposed to be no more than 90 on blood fasting. Mine's about 70. Where's yours sitting? That's awfully high. Are you on glucophage or something? Okay. Now you may have a problem, so you want to have no carbs and see where you sit after 2 hours. You know, you eat a steak, and 2 hours later, just eat the steak by itself. You can have a little bit of ketchup on it or something, or steak sauce. That's a little bit of carb, but not a lot. 2 hours later, see where that number is, and hopefully it's going to be lower. If it's not, you're going to have to do something because you've got a pancreas problem. But do that test.
I know you said this, but could you say it again? What are the good fats?
Yeah, the good fats are saturated fats, do not cause heart disease, have a pile of flavor. So there's no issue with bacon, butter, eggs, cheese. The essential fats are the parent omega-6 and parent omega-3 your body can't make. Did that answer it?
What about 9?
9 your body doesn't need. That's called oleic acid, that's olive oil. Good question. You always see omega-3, 6, and 9. 9 is made by your body. It's a non-essential totally. It's not good as bad. It's a 0. Now, a 0 compared to a trans fat, which is the oils they use in the fast food restaurants, that's a negative 20. So is 0 a heck of a lot better than negative 20? Sure it is. But it's not essential and it won't do anything. Just having olive oil, you're going to be highly FA deficient and a mess. Will not stop you from getting cancer. Yeah, hemp for a source of the oil. I'm not big on it mainly because a couple of things. Hemp has not been used for food, culinary. It's used in commercial. I like going with oils that have a long history of eating them. Sunflower, safflower, even primrose. The hemp hasn't been. It has high commercial usage. And also there's, the residue. I don't know if it's still an issue anymore with the drug thing. There was some problem with it. And there's still too much omega-6 in it. You can't use it by itself. It's about 3.2 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3, so it's too overloaded with the 6.
You need a percentage of protein, fiber, carbs, fruits, and vegetables.
Yeah, good question. Percentages. You don't need any fiber.
Don't need any fiber.
You don't need any. I mean, it does nothing positive. It's sawdust. It actually irritates the colon, and in 1999, this was published in Lancet, the world's premier medical journal. In 2000, it was published in New England Journal of Medicine, America's #1 journal. And it was published again in 2002 in the National Institute of Cancer magazine. The more fiber you ate, the more colon cancer you got. Con job. And it's bad for you. It just irritates stuff. Carbohydrate, you don't need any. Your body makes that too. What was the other one? Fruits and vegetables are carbs. You can have one a day, but there's no daily requirement for fruit.
All the protein.
Protein you need. You better be getting protein every day.
Get a lot of protein out of meat.
Nothing wrong with it. I like organic. That's my #1 choice. And with the natural fat tied to the protein, which it always is, a steak is tied to fat, fish is tied to fat, it satisfies the apostat in the brain, so you can't eat unlimited. I get real tired of, high carbers going, yeah, you're going to eat 4 pounds of meat. Can't eat more than 1.5 pounds for the day, you're done. You are so satisfied from that. Only a fat fills your brain up. Only a fat fills you up. Carbs don't do it. Bet you can't eat just one cookie, eat the whole damn bag. And protein by itself won't do it. Eat 10 egg whites, you're starving. It's only the fats.
What about vegetarians?
Vegetarians are typically the most awful health people I see. We are not designed to be a vegetarian. I give the physiology in the book, the 24-hour diet.
How do we get people that you love that are vegetarians?
It's very hard. Very, very hard to get a vegetarian to convert. Best thing you can do is have them add the oils to what they're doing.
The omega-6.
Yeah, the 6-3 oil is the biggest thing, but it is almost, I've had people walk out of my lectures, they just couldn't take it. It's always women. But it's an emotional, psychological thing. They have no interest in the science. And if you think you're a cow, be my guest. You're not. I mean, there's nothing more I can say.
Information on eating raw eggs.
Raw eggs, no problem with that. This whole thing with, all the bacteria, salmonella, and all that stuff, it's because the chicken processors are so rotten, they're so unsanitary, they blame you for it. Plenty of cultures that eat raw eggs all day long, no problem.
Does rice cover a lot of that?
Rice is all carbs, not good.
That's a lot of carbs.
It's all carbohydrates. I used to live on rice and never lost an ounce in the bodybuilding days. Rice is awful. Very little you want.
Why do the Chinese live so well and the Asians?
Well, the Chinese are not healthy at all. They're highly niacin deficient because they're eating rice. The people who eat the rice are the peasants. I was over there in 2002. None of the scientists touched the rice. That was on table 2. The joke over there is peasant food. Then I went to Thailand to see the same thing. They had 10 dishes on the restaurant menu. One of them had carbs. So you're getting highly misled with all these Asian populations living on rice and living on high carbs. No, they're not. And by the way, Japan has 25% higher heart disease and higher cancer rates than Americans. Japan, with their fish and their soy, and they don't tell you this. That's the numbers.
Last time I listened to you, you said soybeans weren't the greatest thing.
Not for a human being, fine for a pig.
Why?
Why? They're endocrine disruptors. Phytoestrogens are awful. They screw up your thyroid, they screw up your pancreas, they stop protein digestion, they make your blood clot 5% sticky, which is the one thing you don't want for heart. It's awful. It's awful, awful food. And if you're wondering if you should eat the stuff, get some unprocessed ground up soybeans and smell them. You will get sick to your stomach. And we have a sense of taste that you typically don't eat foods that smell disgusting. It's like the juice guy. Put the rind in and grind it up or something because you'd never eat it on your own. I'm looking at this going, are you mentally insane? You wouldn't eat it on your own because it tastes awful. You're not supposed to be eating it. It's not food for a human being. Pigs would eat it. And he's grinding it up in his juice. I mean, you look at these people, they're crazy.
What about fasting, Brian?
Fasting's, the best thing with it is it gives your body a break from stuff. No problem with it at all. You can fast as long as you want. You do not need to be eating every day. It's nonsense. So it gives your body a chance to rest from all the garbage we're giving it. It's not a bad idea to do it.
What are your sources of protein other than the meats?
You can get protein, good question. If you want to be a vegetarian, something you can get it from cottage cheese. But get the full fat. Cottage cheese has got a good chunk in it. Some of the cheeses have more protein. Fish does, chicken does. It just has to be animal-based protein, because if it's vegetable-based protein, it doesn't work. It's all tied to the fiber. You don't get it. It's all these people that go time and time again, 50 grams of protein from the plant. No. You're going to have no energy, and you're going to get sick, and they're crazy. They don't stop. They don't have physiology at all.
Yeah, what about the organic grass-fed beef? They say it has a higher or more digestion.
Yeah, grass-fed versus corn-fed. The grass-fed, they're going to have a much closer ratio of omega-6 to 3 of 1 to 1. Corn-fed thing could be 15 to 1. I like the corn-fed taste myself, and as long as I'm getting the oil supplement, it doesn't matter. But if you didn't take the supplement, you're better off going with the grass-fed. I just don't like it. I'm just so spoiled with the other one.
Yeah, my son-in-law, he got diabetes type 2.
Yeah.
He's reluctant to take the oils because he's afraid it'll conflict with or interact with the medicine.
Not at all. Makes it where it'll make the medicines more efficient. He's absolutely backwards. This was designed for diabetics. Remember, my wife is one. Yeah, he's absolutely backwards.
We have a 5-year-old grandson who has leukemia and say blood cancer caused from lack of oxygen. Is that the case in children?
In children, it came pretty close to the mother. I mean, she could have had some kind of poison. There's respiratory poisons like cyanide. Anything that attacks the respiration of the cell can do this. So, if you had a problem, That's why the kid typically has it, because it takes a decade to get cancer. What is the question? How do you fix it, or why the kid got it? Yeah, at that age, it's something of a poisoning that did that.
Because there's babies in the hospital.
There is. Oh, I know. It happens more than you would think. It's something from the environment doing it.
I have another question, is brown flaxseed okay to use for regular?
No, you don't need any of that. You don't need any of that. You got to get the right parent essential oil blend, and the regularity takes care of itself. Yeah, you do not want any of these seeds or fiber for regularity. Again, it's a pharmacological drug. You're just calling it fiber. It's the same thing. It's forcing your body to do something, and it's going to take you a while to fix it because you've been doing it for so long. It's just like a vegetarian. They all go, yeah, but I eat meat and I get sick. So I kept hearing this, and it was, all these people can't be insane. There's got to be something to it. What is it? So I started thinking, enzymes that break down protein are made from protein. So if the vegetarian's not eating any protein, why is the body going to make something from protein and never use it? It's not going to do it. So it takes about 30, 45 days for a vegetarian to build up the enzymes to digest protein once they start eating it. So I tell them very little in the beginning. Have some eggs, hamburger, very, very simple stuff and not too much. But that's what it is. And then they all go, oh, it's so good because now I'm sick, I can't eat this stuff. No, it's because your body's so good, you think you're a cow. I mean, cow has 4 stomachs, by the way. That's what it takes to break down the fiber. You have 1. You can't do it.
What about triglycerides and what will these oils do for?
Yeah, good question. Triglycerides, they're part of the, LDL complex too. And it's all tied together. Typically, triglycerides come from carbs. Fat doesn't go to fat. I didn't tell you that. That's another one. Doesn't go to fat. And eating a lot of fat does not put a pile of fat in the bloodstream. It's not what you think at all. They're typically raised by carbs. So if you minimize the carbs, triglycerides go down. It's just more fat. They say it's an independent risk factor for heart disease. I really don't know. They're wrong on so much. I haven't thought about it. But carbs make triglycerides.
Do these oils help psoriasis?
Typically, yeah. The oils help skin conditions, yeah. Major. They're the basis of all your sexual hormones and all of the endocrine hormones. So they're very, very strong with any hormonal-based thing your body does on its own. But yeah, I mean, and you'll know within a month. This stuff is fast. If it's going to work for you, you're going to know within a month.
My husband's been diabetic for over 50 years. He's lost his sense of smell and taste. Is there any way to get that back?
Don't know. I haven't heard of that one. I don't know. I wish I just don't know.
We want to thank you for coming tonight.
Oh, my pleasure.
And tell us some of your typical diets. You mentioned a few foods. Give us a couple of days of eating.
Well, typically with me, it's carbs are always last. That's the gist of what you need. Breakfast, I typically never eat it. I'll take 2 to 4 oils, have coffee with cream. Now remember I told you fats fill you up, so coffee and cream. I'll go to the coffee place and get they call it a breve. It's steamed half and half or steamed heavy whipping cream and coffee. And that's a meal. I mean, that fills the dickens out of you. Sandwiches, I'll get Pepperidge Farm real thin bread and have a huge middle and very little bread. Because bread is a lot of carbs. You take a look at the calories of carbohydrate on Wonder Bread or something, especially these thick breads, you're getting 6 to 7 teaspoons of sugar in just the bread. It's unbelievable how these things add up. You go, 100 teaspoons of sugar, no way on earth I'm eating that. Yeah, you are. You sure are, and you don't know it. It's so easy to get up there. And in the beginning, you got to watch it, and then it's easy. Dinner time, I love steaks. I'll probably have that 3 times a week. Steak and baked potato with sour cream and butter. I just love. May have a salad, but there's always, blue cheese on it or something, hard-boiled eggs on it. Really don't care that much. If I'll have broccoli or green beans, like a hollandaise sauce I like, or a butter. I mean, I'll eat the vegetables, but not a lot of them. There's always something on it. Pasta I'm not big on. I'll have some of it, but with a lot of, meatballs. I just have a little of it. Eggs I like. You can have them scrambled. You can do whatever you want. When you start taking these oils, you're going to need so much less food that it's amazing. They pay for themselves in the decreased appetite because you're getting all the nutrition. You don't need to be eating all this food anymore. It's really, really powerful stuff.
What about thyroid?
Thyroid, the oils won't help, but I remember my thyroid's got a problem. That's another epidemic. I'm not sure why. I know for 2 years I tried to see if my thyroid stimulating hormone numbers would go down. They didn't. Taking the oils, and they kept on saying, you better get in here, you're gonna, be real fat, you're gonna be exhausted, I was none of that. My neck was bigger because your thyroid is around you and it's trying to stimulate it and it doesn't work. But other than that, I had no lack of energy. I had no weight gain, and it was amazing. So these will compensate as much as possible, but you'll still need Armour Thyroid or Synthroid or something. It does not solve a thyroid. It won't bring a type 1 pancreatic problem for diabetes back either. It minimizes the amount of insulin you need, but it won't fix a damaged pancreas. That's what I had hoped for, but it won't. Don't need any calcium. No, it doesn't make it, but it is in almost every food, and you don't need a big amount. This is another major con job. The women drinking the most milk and eating the most calcium get the most osteoporosis in all the studies. It's incredible. Your bone is made, the matrix is made of collagen, which is these oils and protein. Calcium gets dumped on the outside of it, so it actually makes your bone brittle. Con job, do not take any bone stuff, Boniva, any of this stuff. It is so backwards. They have to measure something, so they don't care how they get more bone density. They're going the worst way possible because it gives you brittle bones. It'll fracture. You take this stuff, you fall, you crack your bone because you have so much built up calcium. You don't want that. Tragic state of affairs. Yeah, that's a special, disease kind of condition. In your case, it could be okay. I don't know. For the average person, absolutely not. None of you need any extra calcium. And by the way, the last stage of a heart attack is called calcification of the plaque. It comes from extra calcium precipitating out. So especially in women with all this calcium, you're giving yourself the last stage of a heart attack. Another great job by the medical profession.
You said our food processing, our industrialized society.
Especially with the oils.
Processing is wrecking the oils.
Yes.
So where did our ancestors get these essential
They didn't
oils?
have food processing. They
Well, I
got
understand.
the nuts and the
That's
seeds.
why we said don't eat this stuff anyway. So if you ate the right diet.
No, even in meat, in the meats and the fish, in the seeds and the nuts, they didn't process
So
them.
if we ate all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Then,
You're okay, you don't need a supplement.
Then you wouldn't need the supplement.
No.
But the supplement makes it easier for us, I understand.
Yeah, and in the old days, they didn't need the supplement. And
We cooked with lard in those days. We cooked with lard.
you're right. Naturally saturated fat, excellent. It doesn't, there's nothing to ruin. They didn't use safflower oil or sunflower oil.
Find a mess, right? No damage to that. Flour oil or something, okay.
Yeah.
Now some people that are coming out against fish oil are talking about krill oil.
Krill is still fish, it's still the same problem.
Okay.
Still a pharmacological overload of the derivatives by 10 to 1.
How about MCT oil?
MCT is medium chain triglyceride. It's in coconut. It gives you energy. It's another fat that doesn't go as fat. Nothing real special about it. It's a short chain. It just gets burned up like a saturated fat. Coconut oil has it. It's good.
Thank you. What about Lyme disease? Any suggestions?
I'm not. People have sent me stuff on that, but I'm not sure what you would do. I mean, it's with the immune system. If you could get rid of that, the oils are going to help. It'd be interesting to see if it gets rid of it. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know.
You need a certain amount of fish.
You don't need it.
You need a lot of fish.
No, you don't need fish.
You don't need-
No, it's only for the protein. It doesn't matter where you get the protein from. It can be eggs. That's another one somebody asked me about protein. Eggs have got a lot of it. It doesn't matter where it comes from, as long as it's animal-based. Doesn't have to be steak, it doesn't have to be red meat. The only problem with red meat, by the way, is from the saturated fat. That's all the complaint. And I just told you there's no saturated fat in a clogged artery. So those people need to get their tail in the medical library too.
What's your opinion on D3?
On vitamin D3?
Yeah.
Well, again, vitamin D is made by the interaction of the sun on your skin and the cholesterol in your skin. So if you got the parent essential oils in the cholesterol, your body makes the vitamin D. If you're not out in the sun at all, or if you don't have these oils, you very well may need a vitamin D supplement.
What about
Barbecue, no problem at all. There's not one scientific study absolutely showing barbecued anything gives you cancer. I eat a pile of charred stuff. I love barbecue. It's inert. I would say you're crazy. Oh yeah. But I'd say you're crazy to even make the connection. There's not one thing, and they will always qualify it. They'll say, yeah, it does give you cancer, but there's no study showing it. Then why are you telling people it does? Just like the swine flu thing. Number one, it doesn't come from a swine. I mean, it's incredible, and it's so bad, and now it's like a regular flu. Well, why don't you figure it out before you go telling everybody what to do, and you're 180 degrees wrong. You got Obama with $1.5 billion for something that doesn't even exist. It's just sick. This is the state of affairs with these guys. It's the blind leading the blind. Okay, arachidonic acid, that is the omega-6 derivative. Critical. Absolutely critical. You have people like Sears saying it's inflammatory. If you didn't have arachidonic acid, number one, it's ubiquitous in every cell. It's in every cell. Number two, if you puncture, have a wound, you better have arachidonic acid to seal that wound or you're dead, you're going to bleed to death. So these people say one side of the story, and they don't give you the other side. It is anything but a problem. You need arachidonic acid. And prostacyclin, which prevents heart disease totally, is an arachidonic acid derivative.
Do you know anything about the drugs that help people for depression, or how that would...
Like Prozac or something? No, I don't really know that.
Serotonin that they say they're replacing.
They say this. I'm not big on serotonin things, but all I know is these oils are very, very antidepressive.
You know anything about radiation from the CAT scans and things that people get?
Radiation does occur from a CAT scan. Supposedly it's about 3 years worth of normal radiation just staying out in the sun. I'm not worried about it because what got me into this whole thing is EFAs prevent radiation-induced damage in the cell. So I'm taking these, so I'm not worried about radiation at all. Good question.
I got a 13-month-old grandson that has had bronchiolitis at least 3 times this year. Seems like he's been sick for...
Get the oils in them. The women that are pregnant and taking these oils, the baby is the baby from heaven. They don't have any of this stuff. Just put it in the food. They have it in liquid, just put it in the food. It's real easy.
Do you have any insights on celiac disease?
It's another thing with carbohydrates. You just don't need the carbs. It's a non-essential. Minimize the heck out of them, you're going to have almost no problem with that.
The oils help elasticity in the artery.
Yes, the oils are integral to every cell. So the bottom number, the systolic number, the 120/80, it's how much your artery can expand, like a balloon. If it didn't expand at all, it would be 120. It'd be the same number as the top number. So the top number is a measure of how much cloggage there is in the artery. The more it's clogged, the more that top number goes up. And the bottom number is how inelastic the artery is. And the oil's helpful.
What about exercise? You don't talk very much about exercise at all.
Because it doesn't do much. Exercise is not the answer to weight loss in the least.
What about for cardio?
Don't need it. It's an excellent question. What about my heart? Your heart, I want to make this very clear, is already 100% efficient for oxygen transfer. All the benefits of exercise are peripheral. And a cardiologist wrote a great book called The Exercise Myth. That was the title of it in 1950. And Random House did it, or a major publisher did it. And went round the world with marathon runners, showing how in every country, in every case, these marathon runners had more heart disease than the average person doing very little. It was shocking. And unequivocally, it's all peripheral muscles. It's never the heart. The heart's already 100%. Very big myth. It doesn't do what you think. This is why athletes get cancer, athletes get heart attacks all the time. Marathon runners, in the next period of the 24-hour diet, big marathon runner, heart attack. And I make an example out of it. Here's the poster boy for, you do all this running, how on earth do you get a heart attack? Well, can't be the answer if you got one. And it happens all the time. Stevia is a good one. Stevia is a natural sweetener, no insulin response, no sugar. Excellent. I'm not against sugar, regular sugar either, but I don't use a lot of it. So I try and have recipes, and I'm working on a cookbook if I ever get time out of medical writing to, but the stevia is decent now. Splenda? No, Splenda's no good. Do not use Splenda. Chelation is very good, but I like Essiac, which is the liquid herbal. It does the same thing. It is the same thing on a daily basis. So I'm real big on it.
Dr. Sears says that red meat has 2 and 3 times as much L-carnitine as your pork or chicken. What do you think about that? And
Well, L-carnitine is just an amino acid. I really don't care. Does he say it's good or bad?
he says that the red meat is better, but the L-carnitine builds muscle, so the red meat, in my thought, was better than
Well, good. Yeah, I have no issue with it at all.
pork or chicken.
Yeah. I like steaks. Chicken's number 2, but steak is number 1. Yeah, he's one of the rare ones that's got it right with that. But it's just an amino acid. You know, the big thing is like B12 or different amino acids. You eat a steak, you got it covered. You don't need to be taking supplements for that.
What about the diseases we're seeing today, like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS?
Most of the diseases today are all tied to the oil deficiency. Alzheimer's in the brain's 100% butchered oils. Guaranteed. Parkinson's, the same thing. MS is a nerve disease. These oils make your nerves. So it's all tied to this. All tied to this. Arthritis is health. This is too. Remember, your steroids are made from these oils. So people with, I had an arthritic joint, I couldn't bend it. Now it's nothing. So yeah, it makes the hormones. Yeah. Yeah, good question. The oils I typically do on an empty stomach because it's going to have a big fulfillment of the appetite, of your appetite. So if you take these oils with food and eat the normal amount of food, you are going to feel like you're ready to blow up. So I'm big on taking them before I eat and eat less food. Doesn't matter, you can do it with food, without food, but you know, I typically do an empty stomach. You can have it with coffee, water, doesn't matter.
Are you afraid of being sued by the American Medical Association yet?
Oh, nah. Actually, I've got a patent filed on this formulation. I really do want to turn it into a drug so the doctors prescribe it. I mean, I'd rather not, but that's really the way it has to be. You know, you're a rare group of people that, you know, probably believe a lot of what I'm saying. And if you don't, you're going to get the book and see the science for yourself. Most of them won't even get this far. It's just I'm doing what my doctor says, even though it's going to kill them, and the doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. People today are just so overwhelmed. All I care about is surviving from one day to another. I'm not going to think about this. And it's just a tragic state of affairs. So yeah, I am looking at, you know, it's very close to getting patented. I was just at the patent office in Washington last week.
If you're taking statins, heart attack, etc., stent, and then you decide to take the oils, you make yourself.
The question is, you're taking what first?
Well, approval, outdated literature right now.
Oh, if you're taking statins?
Yeah. So if you decide to go to oils, you wean yourself off.
Yeah, you always want to wean yourself off of a drug. So if it was me, I would cut the statin or the drug in half. 2 weeks later, cut it in half again until you're done with it. Double teaming. Good. Yeah, it's a good question. You can take too much for the omega-3 component. Typically, it's one capsule, 725 milligrams for every 40 pounds of body weight is a good number. If you're not trying to solve heart disease or cancer or anything. You can take 50% more if you're working more, if you're exercising more, if you're under the gun. But that typically does it for everybody. You can always take a few, a little bit extra and see what it does. But for most people, the appetite fulfillment is very close to that range. No more than 50%. Somebody your size would take 4 capsules, 6 capsules a day, and that's going to make a big difference fast.
What was that sweetener you just mentioned?
Stevia, S-T-E-V-I-A. That's a decent one with no problem.
For women who are working.
It's excellent. The oils are excellent for that.
Okay, do they need to take progesterone cream or?
You could. I would try not doing the progesterone cream first and see what happens in 2 weeks. And if it doesn't do the whole thing, then you could certainly do the progesterone creams.
And the calcium?
Do not need calcium supplements at all, unless you have a specific metabolic condition like the parathyroid problem.
And what about iron?
I advocate about 10 milligrams, which is a very conservative amount as a supplement. But iron is animal-based protein. So a lot of women are very protein deficient. And, I just like giving them a little, but iron's, it's important for oxygen transfer.
So it's okay to have a clear?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What form of iron is in your minerals?
Yeah, well, I recommend truly chelated iron, like all the minerals. Has to be tied to an amino acid. And if it's in this form, if you don't need it, your body won't use it. It'll dump it. Your body's pretty smart. It won't just overload everything into the cells. All the way back?
Is there any correlation between high salt intake and heart disease?
No. Good question. Everybody's told to not eat any salt, especially the older you get. Number one, it ruins your digestive system because it's hydrochloric acid. Well, that's NaCl for the chlorine. You have to have salt for your body to make hydrochloric acid. So if you're on a restricted salt diet, your digestive system is going to go to 0. Done a great job by the doctors. No, it is something called the InterSalt study. Gave 10,000 people tons of salt. I can give you 10 times the amount of salt within 3 days. You have something called the antidiuretic hormone for the kidneys. Renormalizes itself. Salt is not the cause of hypertension at all. It's another, you ask the doctor, he has to tell you something. It's DFAs. Both in the artery and in the artery wall itself.
If you're on a limited budget, out of all 3 products that you have out there, which?
Number one's the oils.
Okay.
And then the number 2 would be the detoxifier, and number 3, the minerals. But the oils are so critical.
Yes, I used to have real dark brown spots on the back of my hand.
Yep.
And also on my forehead, but I've been on the oils now for quite a while. And I can't hardly see them anymore. What has happened there?
It's because of the paramecics in the skin. Any blemishes lighten up. I have a mole too, and it's gone down by about half over 10, 15 years. Yeah, it is unbelievable for the skin. Fire corner? Acid reflux is caused by too many carbs. The answer is yeah, the PEOs are very good for acid reflux, but you minimize the carbohydrate, the acid reflux goes away. It's that simple. Try it. You will not get acid reflux after eating a steak. Won't happen.
Have you heard of lemon in water? Acid, acid, and that's what causes that hurt.
The lemon in water?
Yeah, if you use acid in it, because an acid reflux, it will make an acid.
No. You minimize the carbs, you'll have no acid reflux. Try it.
I mean, like, I don't know if you heard of
The what?
no carb bread.
Then what's it made of? How do you get no carb bread? What's it made of? I don't believe that. Does anybody know what it is? I mean, it has no carb in it. I don't know what it could be. Well, I don't know what it could be made of that rises. I mean, you could play some games. There's almond flour, which is ground almond, but it doesn't rise. I'd be careful. I don't buy that it's no carbs.
I think she said Ezekiel.
I've heard of the name, but I don't buy that it's no carbohydrate. Double check that label. I don't buy it. Well, it can say sprouted, that doesn't mean no carbs. I still think there's a pile of carbs in it. I don't care about the sprouted, non-sprouted. Carbs are carbs are carbs.
After our good friend has had cancer of the breast and been treated, it is in remission.
How many years?
Just 6 months. She needs the oils. Is that a pretty good? If she still has a cancerous cell, you can't get rid of the cancerous cell, but you can keep it benign.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. It's in the end story of cancer. She needs to read that book. Absolutely. Yes, she can.
What about somebody that's in treatment now?
It's phenomenal for it. This is what got me on this whole thing. When I was in China, I was reading a paper on how EFAs stop radiation-induced damage. So anybody that's on chemotherapy or radiation therapy needs these oils yesterday. It makes those therapies work better, and it stops more cancer from coming, because in radiation causes more cancer down the road. They don't offer this information, but they'll tell you if you ask them.
How about that? Cancer genetics.
No problem at all.
How about antioxidant-rich foods?
Doesn't matter. The antioxidant thing doesn't work inside the body. Your body makes its own antioxidants. It's called superoxide dismutase. There's other ones it makes too. It makes them. Does not need your help. This is all another con job. They don't work.
No dark chocolate then?
They can have dark chocolate, but don't think it's going to do anything. And don't think it's berry. What's the berry one where they... There's so many of them. There's one that had a whole field of this stuff and no idea what to do with it. So they cooked up, they better get studies done saying how great it is. I forget which one this is. Another great marketing job. It's absolute bunk. Antioxidant level outside the body means absolutely nothing.
Is sea salt better?
Yeah, sea salt better? Yeah. Actually, the salt that I use is from this. It's 85% sodium chloride. Regular salt you get is refined, is for the chemical industry. It's 99% sodium chloride. Yeah, it tastes way the heck better too. So I like Flower of the Ocean. I think Ryan sells it at the store. And a little goes a long way. I mean, a pound will last you 6 months. It's expensive, but it's worth every penny. Yep.
I see you have an ad in the Well-Being Journal.
Yeah. Story of cancer, yeah.
Are you not going to have any articles in there yourself?
They haven't asked for any. I mean, I'm just so busy writing other ones, I just haven't even asked them. But, yeah, why don't you write a letter to them, if you would, or email them or something and say, how come you don't have this guy do an article? I mean, they never come to me. It's amazing. They see that ad, and you would think somebody would go, what the heck is this? I mean, the doctors do. But the publishers of these magazines, they don't believe half the stuff they're writing themselves. That's the problem. Yeah, here's another one. Yeah, it looks good. But none of this stuff really works. I mean, their opinion's pretty bad, too. You know, they get so much junk. You can't tell if something's real or not. Now, you can tell by the nature of the way I write that ad, because I wrote it. They got to know what the heck they're talking about to write this ad. You couldn't do this unless you really knew something. But
And there is a new product called, I think it's Truvia, and I think it is.
I don't know what it is. Oh, yeah. But I don't think that's a good one to get. I think Pepsi or somebody makes it. That would scare me. I'm sure they found a way to refine it and wreck it. Yeah, I would not get that brand. There's a Canadian brand, there's a couple brands. You want it as unprocessed as you can get.
If you were going to tell the doctor you don't want to take statins or replace...
All you gotta do is tell them he works for you. You do not have to justify anything to a doctor. If they don't like it, I'll find another one, you're fired. It's very simple.
But to educate them.
You give them my paper on, from the American College Association of Physicians and Surgeons. Look at my website. That is a peer-reviewed paper on why statins don't work and the failure of Vytorin. Say, read this, doctor. And he probably won't, because he doesn't care. Most of them don't.
How long ago was that published? How long ago was that article published?
December 2008. It's very current. Very current. Yeah, alcohol solubilizes the cell membrane. It's not the best thing for you. Hard alcohol won't make you fat. Beer will, because it's more of a carb. The sweeter wines have more carbs. Alcohol's not good. I'm not a big drinker of alcohol. It solubilizes the cell membrane and screws it up. It's not good for you. No, absolutely you don't need 8 glasses of water a day. That recommendation is a half a gallon, by the way. If you do that, you'll probably make yourself sick. It completely discounted all the water in food. Remember I told you steak, 58% molecular water? Lettuce is 93% water. So most people, honestly, don't need to drink any water a day outside of the food they eat. If you're thirsty, drink water, but never, ever, ever force feed yourself water. Lunacy. Absolute lunacy.
I have a hesitation on any of these supplements, and the reason I do is because I have one kid
One kidney?
that's only working 60%.
Okay.
And I have a renal disease that goes into the kidney.
Okay.
So I'm very,
Yeah, you should be. Yeah, the oils won't negatively affect that at all. If anything, it's positive, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no issue at all. All three of the things aren't going to harm that in the least. Couple more?
The alternative doctors I read say that cider vinegar will stop acid reflux, just the opposite of what doctors are telling you to do.
Well, you don't even need that. It's all caused by too many carbs, like I told you. You can do it, it may work, but everywhere I've gone around the world talking about this, it's always the same thing. Stop the carbs. The excessive carbs, the reflux is gone immediately.
On Lyme disease, Berkeley Bedell was a former congressman from Sioux City, and he had Lyme disease and had to quit it.
Really?
And he was a farmer up there that was feeding people, giving people colostrum from his cow.
Yeah, okay.
The first milk
Yeah.
at the birth. And
That killed it?
taken it, and it wiped out his Lyme disease in 48 hours.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I mean, there's got to be something to that.
He,
It's highly immune boosting.
they stopped him with this farmer. They really gave him a bad time because he was taking blood from people who were sick and didn't even know what disease they had, injecting it into the cow's udder, and then giving them the milk that came out from the cow's udder that had this unknown disease, and it would cure it.
It would do that?
They wouldn't even know what the disease was necessarily.
Very interesting.
But,
I haven't heard of that one. Very interesting.
yeah, the FDA didn't like that.
Oh, they're not going to like that. They're not going to like that. Pardon me?
And yogurt, what do you think?
Yeah, yogurt's okay. I mean, it's no big deal. Definitely get the high-fat yogurt. Never ever go no fat. No fat, low fat means added sugar. So always get that. Yep.
I follow the program, I take the supplements, and it really works.
Okay.
The only problem is I let carbs creep back into my diet. I have a weakness for ice cream. Do you have any suggestions how I can?
Yeah, you can make your own ice cream with more cream and almost no milk, and use stevia. If you email me something, I may be able to get you a recipe for it. You don't even need an ice cream churner. You can just freeze it. It's pretty good. But yeah, I came up with a recipe to get around that.
I have a recipe for egg salad. I cook about 10 eggs at a time.
Yep.
And I put it through the ricer.
Do you?
I use
Okay.
The large
Yeah.
whole.
Okay.
And instead of using
Good idea.
mayonnaise,
Yeah.
I got the AE old-fashioned cottage cheese.
Really?
So the 12-ounce carton. And
Interesting.
This Sprite bind it together.
Interesting.
And of course you add your own mustard or whatever you want.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Cottage cheese with yeah. I'll have to do that. I have a ricer too. And you could use, I don't dislike mashed potatoes. I just don't have a lot of them. I use a ricer, and makes it whip up real well. But I always add cream and butter. Always add cream and butter. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. Mayonnaise is no problem. You just want a natural mayonnaise. And there's one I just tried that's got coconut oil and olive oil, and it's organic, it's excellent. There's none of this soy oil. Everybody's using soy oil now. Or I used to get one that was Hain or somebody. It was safflower oil. But this just tasted awful. I'll never get it again. This is all organic. I forget the brand of it, but it was really good. And it's reasonable. It's like $5 for a good-sized jar. So people are doing it right. Couple more? Yeah.
What's stevia made out of?
It's a plant. Yeah, it's an herb. It is processed, but it's no big deal. I just don't like Pepsi's or whatever these guys are. Chrysanthemum, okay. Okay.
Where do you get it?
An internet search? Do an internet search on it. On the internet?
Right, how do you measure the success or the benefits of the products that you're recommending?
Yeah, how like for example, how do you measure the oils? Well, you take the oils and you don't take the oils. You should see you're not as tired as much. Your skin gets really soft. Your fingernails get like glass. Hair stops coming out. Any kind of small growth you have, warts or skin tags, anything shrink. That's because it's the tumor shrinking thing, so it doesn't matter if it's exterior or interior. General state of how you feel. You're not going to be able to tell about the cancer stuff and the oxygen or the anti-heart disease stuff. You have to take that from the science. You're just going to feel different. And then stop taking it. I tell people to do it all the time. That's the acid test. And it better not come back. I think it's working. Because I get this with like vitamin C and vitamins all the time. And if that's the best you can do, you think it's doing something, it's doing nothing. Stop taking it.
Dried beans are not a protein.
Dried beans? No, well, again, vegetable, no, it is protein, but it's vegetable protein, which is 1/4 as effective as animal-based. You can't get enough of it. It's next to worthless. And they don't get that difference. Okay, pH balancing. A couple of things. You have low pH when you have cancer because lactic acid is what cancer cells spit out. They run on sugar. Okay, sugar is cancer's prime fuel. I didn't tell you this before. So carbohydrates are cancer's prime fuel. So anybody telling you a high carbohydrate diet is giving you the prime fuel for cancer. They didn't cause cancer, but they're giving you cancer's #1 fuel if you want to keep it flying, which is really dumb. You cannot change the pH of a tissue or the blood. It's 735 to 745. It's automatically handled by your body. Do you actually think nature is going to be so dumb as to let us to try and control it? It's like going to control how many breaths you take a day. You can't do it. Or I'm going to control anything. Your body's called the automatic nervous system for that. It's not going to let you do it. You have no reason to be jerking trying to do anything with the pH. Now, if you have cancer, you can take some lemon juice, which you'd go, it's acid, but because of some of the other stuff in there, it actually turns alkaline when you have it. And it makes the lactic acid reaction harder to go, so it shoves it back a little. But anybody else, you don't need to be doing any of that. This whole manipulation of alkaline acid it's a dream. Absolute dream. And cancer is not the cause of it, cancer is the effect. So outside of having it 180 degrees backwards, they're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the best oils to cook with are oils that can't get screwed up, which means saturated fats. Extra virgin coconut oil is excellent. And you can reuse it, you can filter it, put it through a sieve and reuse it again. It's called extra virgin coconut oil. It's just the best organic you can get. That's okay too. But you can't use the same high temperatures with olive oil as you can with the coconut. Coconut can take anything. There's palm oil that's organic, the same thing, it can take any temperature. Macadamia nut you can do. Yeah, those are excellent. One more. Yeah, good question. Protein powders. I don't like anything that's processed already because you're teaching your digestive system to be a lazy son of a bitch. Okay? If you give it pre-digested stuff, you're teaching it not to work. So that's okay when you're young. But as you age, you get muscle atrophy. So the older you get, the more that you've taught your digestive system to do nothing. Now when you get older, you're going to be in deep trouble. The only reason that this whole powder thing came about is to worry about the fat. And I just told you the saturated fat's no issue. If fat is no issue, why would you do it? I don't have any time to cook. Doesn't take much time. I am very anti-powder. Very anti-powder. One more? Probiotics is not a bad idea. I don't do any myself, but some of the physicians that are colleagues do like it. Pardon me? The cleanses I'm not big on. The liquid herbal I like. The Essiac product is the best thing in the world. Nobody needs a, quote, cleanser the way they're talking about. There's no buildup in the colon the way they're coming up with colonics or any of that stuff. But I do like the Essiac formulation. It's phenomenal. That is the best thing. It has slippery elm bark, so it coats everything to make everything just glide right along. That's why the arterial walls stay very clean too, in addition to the oils. Thanks very much. Hope to see you in the near future. Yep.